I have been without a steady job for almost 2 years. Went to university, got my degree, went to private school, got a master's, got a teaching certificate. And after all these years, here I am driving for less than minimum wage.
56-year-old Ruben Gonzalez was a teacher at a local school district.
I thought I would have picked something up right away and I'd be right back at it.
He used to be middle class.
There's nothing wrong with driving for Uber, but if that's what you want to do, that's fine.
Right here.
Okay. I never did want to do this. That thought of just picking up strangers.
Thank you.
Okay, get some rest.
Sorry.
I applied for a lot of jobs, and a lot of jobs are contracting and commission and go through training, and it's going to take a few weeks. Well, I can't afford to go a few weeks. I can't afford to go a few days.
This is the future of work for tens of millions of Americans. It's the rise of the gig worker.
There's definitely been a trend, and it has accelerated dramatically in the last 10 years or so, toward what is often referred to as contingent work.
Contingent workers, freelancers, gig workers, temps, independent contractors, consultants, and sometimes even entrepreneurs.
A lot of times entrepreneur is a fancy word for saying you're a low-wage worker for a company, and it's saving us money.
From cooks to film crews to doctors, freelancers are everywhere.
We're talking 34%, expected to rise to 43% by the year 2020. We don't see it. It's almost invisible.
According to a 2016 Princeton study, all of the net job growth from 2005 to 2015 was in the contingent economy. America is becoming a nation of gig workers.
It's interesting to hear where the word gig, most people don't even know where the word gig, it's musicians and gigs. It is people who have a one-night performance, but we're talking about gig economy employees, laborers who basically are low paid and where the demands are huge.
It's the day laborization of our economy. They show up to work for the chance to work. Their paycheck is from day to day or even job to job. And there's no security, there's no stability, there's no longevity, there's no commitment to the worker.
I think it's companies trying to shift the burden of the economic risk to workers. Companies no longer have to provide health benefits. They no longer have to invest in that individual's retirement. They no longer have to do what traditional employers used to do.
So how did we get here? For starters, union membership has been declining for decades. Wages have been stagnant for 40 years, and pensions are disappearing.
It used to be in the 50s and 60s, a very small fraction of CEO compensation was based on their company's share price. Now, depending on how you measure it, it's anywhere from 50 to 80%. In turn, it makes it in their interest to try and drive up that stock price. So how do you do that in the short term? What's the quickest way to make your company's stock go up? The quickest way is to cut costs. And you begin to look at your employees, not as assets that you invest in. You look at them as costs and you cut them.
And for those you do keep, you convert them from employees to independent contractors. Gonzalez pays all of his costs, gas, insurance, car repairs, parking tickets, because he's classified as an independent contractor. He's paid as if he is a company, not an employee. Costs that businesses usually pay for are now shifting to the worker.
I've heard other drivers who are driving, they hit potholes and their axle went up. It was $700. I mean, if that were happened to me, I don't know where I would get $700 from. And it wouldn't just be the cost of replacement, but the time the car is being repaired, I'm losing money there too. I have to repair my sun visor because from using it so much, it came off.
If they are independent contractors, they really have no benefits to speak of. They have no vacation typically. They certainly have no retirement security. They don't have employer-provided health care typically. They're really floating out there on their own.
I do this 7 days a week, the entire month. I can't afford to take any days off.
No sick pay, no unemployment insurance, no workers' compensation, no safety nets.
This is where I'm at now. I don't know what I'm going to do once my kids grow up and how I'm going to survive when I retire. I have to move to another country because I can't afford to live here.
It's an extremely vulnerable position for workers to be in, because now if they're retaliated against for standing up for their rights, there's no protection for it. If they're injured on the job, there's no protection for it. All of the cost, the expenses of doing the work falls on the worker.
I'm just one major car breakdown or a health issue away from being homeless, and that scares me.
These working people now, they're not entitled to health insurance, so they end up going to the emergency room instead of seeing the doctor regularly. They don't get any kind of unemployment benefits, and so there's no payroll taxes being paid. So the rest of us pay for that, and the employer is getting labor on the cheap.
And some companies are doing it illegally. According to state data, anywhere from 10 to 20% of employers misclassify their workers as independent contractors. It's wage theft, and Sue is seeing it in all kinds of professions.
We've seen this in security guards, retail, restaurants, chefs, bartenders, construction workers,
and in the entertainment industry.
We're being treated like employees, but we are paid as independent contractors. I've been an independent contractor as an extra, as a writer, as an actor, as a stuntman, as a PA, as a story producer, as a field producer, as a DGA director. All of those jobs, you're an independent contractor.
In decades past, labor unions fought these battles, and with their erosion, workers are increasingly on their own. The Hollywood Reporter recently paid $1 million to some former writers who were classified as independent contractors. And Uber drivers in several states are suing the corporation, claiming they should be treated as employees. 700 truck drivers at the Port of LA have made wage claims with Sue's office, saying they are misclassified.
It takes drivers until each week, they get paid each week, and it could take them until Wednesday or even Thursday before they even begin to make $100. And the reason for that is because the company charges them to use the company truck. They charge them to maintain the company truck, to buy new tires. They even charge these guys to park the company truck at the company yard overnight. They can't even take it home.
This kind of misclassification has led to an extreme destabilization of many, many industries, and in fact of the entire workforce.
This misclassification of drivers at the port is a good example of how it gobbles up an entire industry. Once everyone starts doing it to stay competitive, it's a race to the bottom. And the workers aren't alone at the bottom. The state of California is losing too, about $7 billion a year in payroll taxes. That means there's less money being paid into programs like Social Security and Medicaid, programs workers are increasingly relying on. So who's winning? TopTal, Upwork, Code Mentor, companies who specialize in outsourcing workers. It can feel like the end of loyalty.
The social contract has largely gone out the window, and with that, loyalty on both sides has gone out the window.
It's not through any fault of the workers. We've done everything right. We've been loyal to the companies. We showed up on time for mainly, I would think, for financial reasons, cost saving or trying to please shareholders. Our options are being eliminated. It's scary.
In 300 feet, your destination will be on the left.
Not only have we pulled the security rug from under our employees, but we have broken down any sense of solidarity with other workers. The Uber driver is perhaps the best example of that. They drive around, they're alone. There's very little communication with others.
In 1,000 feet, turn left onto Alamitos Avenue.
It is a very lonely existence.
My son has a difficult time being alone, especially on the weekends. So it's difficult, and I miss it too. You know, there are events we don't go to. There are a lot of things we don't do. We used to hang out a lot down by the piers, or just walk around and go to events. We don't do that anymore. And he mentions that. And even if I drive and I get off early if I start on the weekends and early in the morning at this time, 5:30 or 6, and I'll drive till 2 or 3, and I get home, I'm tired, and then I end up going to bed early because I get up early. So those are things that I really miss, and it's affecting him. Things could be worse, but right now my only concern is my kids. I don't even care at this point what happens to me. I'm just trying to get them to adulthood.
It's been years since he had a job with health insurance.
The last time that I went to a dentist, 11, 12 years ago. The last time I had a physical was probably about, 7, 8 years ago. I mean, if I have to make a choice of paying $100 or something, whatever, to go see a dentist.
Okay, go see if it's open.
I look at it as that's a couple pairs of shoes for my kids. And so I defer the dentist. I guess the comforting thing is my family is very supportive, and when we come up with the funds that we need, it's like we won a game or a Super Bowl. We start cheering and throwing our hands. Yeah, we got it. We got another month, and we collect it, and there's a big sigh. Then it starts again the next day.
Ruben's wife just got a job at a 7-Eleven.
Well, for us, this has been good because when things are outdated and they get rid of them, she's been able to bring some sandwiches home and things like that. And then kids get tired of them, but that stuff is not healthy because some of the things that we eat, but it's something. It's either that or go hungry. So oftentimes what I do is I'll eat that food, so I leave everything else for them.
Millions of other workers are also struggling, and their job options are shrinking.
The type of jobs that were lost during the Great Recession are jobs that will not be coming back. We are just, as a society, unprepared. We are also seeing a disinvestment in education.
In this country today, fewer than half of all adults have any kind of credential post-high school. So not a 4-year college degree, not a 2-year college degree. Those are the folks being left behind.
Degree or not, what will workers do as their jobs are eliminated by technology and globalization?
We need to begin to teach young people the concept of lifelong learning, that once they're done school, that learning doesn't stop, it can't stop. That all of us need to refresh our skills and knowledge constantly through our entire lives. That is what our society and our economy is going to demand if you're going to make it.
But there are millions of Rubens out there who can't afford to go back to school, and they're scraping by in the midst of soaring inequality.
We haven't seen this kind of income inequality in America since the 1920s, before the Great Depression, right? We are at those kinds of heights now. But a lot of this comes down again to that employment contract, that relationship between employer and employee.
The income that I'm making to be considered a good job in middle class, it would be if I was living in a third world country. But not here, because it don't make enough. It's very low pay.
The gig is taking its toll. He's gaining weight. His legs and back hurt from driving so much, but he can't stop.
Like for Thanksgiving, I didn't have enough. We didn't have some of the things for the food, so I had to get up at 5 in the morning to drive at least 5-6 hours so we could complete our meal.
At the end of this day, Ruben makes about $65 after expenses. That was for about 7 hours of driving.
I'll be out the rest of the week. I'll go back out tomorrow again. I'll hit it again at 5:30 in the morning each day.
He's coming home early tomorrow. He has to pick up a suit from the dry cleaners. He's got a job interview for a position he's been eyeing for a year.
I had my hair cut yesterday. Of course, I can't go to a barber, can't afford, so I sit out here and my wife just chops it off. My one suit that I have. I mean, if I can nail the interview, I'll get another one later on. I just need one. My wife told me not to mention it to the kids, but I said, let's give them a little bit of excitement. If I don't get it, at least they'll be excited for a week or two about the possibility, than none at all. So they know, and we're all eager to see what happens. But it's tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it.
2 weeks later, Ruben was informed he did not get the job. He's hoping another position opens up. Until then, he's back, behind the wheel.